Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. Please be aware that there will be no episodes tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. We will resume our episodes on Wednesday. Thank you for your understanding. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 773 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelenskyy gave an interview to a group of Ukrainian channels, reports Ukrainska Pravda. The president said that Russia will need about a month to train the 300,000 people it expects to be able to mobilize. He has also suggested that even more people might eventually be called up. Zelenskyy stressed that Ukraine's defense forces cannot just hold back the Russian assaults. They should create appropriate military conditions and undertake appropriate attacks on the areas where Russian forces are concentrated in order to thwart their counteroffensive operations. He stressed that Kyiv forwarded to its international partners information about its military needs. Zelenskyy also reiterated that the situation on the front is currently quote-unquote difficult but stable and enemy forces are not advancing. Commenting on the rumors about possible Russian offensive against Kharkiv, the head of state said that the city is well protected and that this information is a truth of the discussion about Russian plans to capture it. Zelenskyy specified that the only area of the city that is not protected is the sky. The head of state said that the construction of defensive lines on all fronts should be completed quote-unquote in a couple of months. On some fronts, up to 98% of work has already been done on all three lines of defense. President Zelenskyy informed that Ukraine is developing a weapon against Russian-guided aerial bombs, but he did not specify what kind of weapon it was. According to him, currently there is only one defense against them: it's to shoot down the jets that launch. Zelenskyy said that Ukraine needs 25 Patriot air defense systems with 6 to 8 batteries each to completely protect its territory from Russian air attacks. He didn't specify how many Patriot systems Ukraine already has. He stressed that Ukraine's partners are well aware of this and even know the points where the relevant systems should be placed and operate. The president said that these systems would be able to cover the whole territory of Ukraine and should be combined with other systems Kyiv already has. He stressed that there are some Russian missiles against which only Patriot can help. Commenting on the availability of ammunition for Ukraine's defense forces, Zelenskyy said that there is no ammunition for counteroffensive actions. Quote, "There are several initiatives that have been launched to defend our state, and we are receiving the weapons," unquote. The Ukrainian president also stressed that ammunition is now being fairly distributed to brigades in the most important directions. The president added that Ukraine doesn't have enough weapons to disrupt the Russian counteroffensive. Quote, "As for disrupting their actions on a particular front, we need to target their military airfields, their planes that hit us with missiles, their helicopters, storage points and bases. And there is a long-range projectile or a suitable weapon for this, and that's what we lack," unquote. The head of state called on members of the parliament to vote the mobilization bill in the coming days. Quote, "This is very important, and it is completely irresponsible what they are doing. With this law, the Russians managed to raise the issue that our people are not ready to defend the state. And the West asks us, if you don't want mobilization, the parliament doesn't want to vote, then why do you need help? Why should we help?" Unquote. Zelenskyy believes that this draft law has divided society into two parts, quote, "those who are for and those who are against, military and civilians," unquote. He called it a big mistake and that MPs should not expect applause for their populism. We would really appreciate if you could recommend us to your friends and family, as well as share information on social media. This way more people would learn about podcasts and truth about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Talking about the international support, the president of Ukraine expressed belief that the US Congress will allocate additional assistance to Ukraine. Quote, "Unfortunately, we are kind of a hostage in this situation. Unfortunately, the issue of Russia's war against Ukraine has now become a domestic political issue in the United States, even though this is about the security of the world," unquote. However, the Ukrainian government would agree to a loan if there are no other options. Regarding the provision of frozen Russian assets to Ukraine by various countries, Zelenskyy stressed that there must be specific action on this issue, not just public declarations. Zelenskyy said he supports initiatives involving foreign states sending training or border guard missions to Ukraine, but he cannot encourage other states to send troops to fight. Quote, I cannot say publicly today, yes, come on, armies of the world, come to Ukraine and fight. Because Russia would hype it up all over the world, they would start raising awareness in other countries that they mustn't send their children to fight, that it's not their war, and they would start splitting the unity between European and NATO countries. So that would be risky for us, unquote. At the same time, the president reminded that there are already some volunteer formations where people who are citizens of other countries come and fight for Ukraine. Quote, Ukraine will never object if anyone wants to help Ukraine, unquote. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We're a commercial initiative of just two people and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.